You know, every single day, you and I are part of this massive, incredibly complex system of making things, trading them, and providing services that, well, powers our entire world. It's so baked into our lives, we barely even notice it. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see how it all actually works. I mean, think about that for a second. It's a huge leap, right? We went from societies focused purely on survival, finding the next meal, to scrolling through digital marketplaces on our phones. That journey from one to the other, that's the entire story of how we work.
And the best way to understand this story is to break it down into 4 different layers of economic activity. Think of it like a ladder of complexity. And in this explainer, we're going to climb that ladder together, one rung at a time.
Okay, so let's start at the very bottom, the foundation for everything else. We're talking about primary activities. This is the oldest, most fundamental way humans have ever interacted with the planet to create something of value. Primary activities are pretty much exactly what they sound like, taking things directly from the earth. We're talking about using resources like land, water, vegetation, and minerals. And because this kind of work is often outdoors and pretty physically demanding, the people who do it are sometimes called red-collar workers. So yeah, these are the absolute building blocks. It starts with the most ancient economic activity we know of, hunting and gathering, and goes all the way to massive commercial farms and mines that fuel our modern world. Seriously, without this layer, none of the others could even exist. The whole system would just collapse. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. We've got our raw materials, right? We've pulled them from the earth. But what do we do with them now? This brings us to the second layer, the stage where we start transforming and creating. This next rung on the ladder is all about one thing, adding value through transformation. This is where manufacturing, processing, and construction come into play. You take the raw stuff from the primary sector and you turn it into something more finished, something more useful, and because of that, something much more valuable. This is a perfect example of how that value gets added. Think about it. Raw cotton from a farm doesn't have a ton of uses on its own, but once it's spun into yarn and then that yarn is manufactured into a t-shirt, bam, its value just skyrockets. That transformation is the absolute heart of the secondary sector. All right, let's climb up to the next rung. Now, this is a big one, because this is where a huge chunk of the modern workforce lives. We've shifted from primarily making things to doing things for each other. And this wasn't just a change in jobs, it changed our entire society. It drove people to cities and created a need for a whole new set of skills. Welcome to the service economy. And this slide right here shows just how massive that shift has been. Just look at that chart. In a typical developed economy, a staggering 75% of the entire workforce is in the service sector. That's not just a change, that is a complete revolution in the way we work. So the key difference here is that services aren't about factory processes. They're about specialized skills, experience, and knowledge. And this sector is incredibly broad. It covers everyone from your local shopkeeper and doctor to the amazingly efficient Dabawala tiffin delivery service you see in Mumbai. But wait, there's more. Even the service sector itself has layers. As we climb higher up the ladder, we get into what's called the knowledge economy. And here, the whole focus shifts from just providing a service to actually creating value with information itself. This is the real cutting edge. This comparison really makes it clear. So on one side, you got a plumber, right? That's the tertiary sector. They provide a direct, specialized skill. But on the other side, you have a software developer or a research scientist. Their job isn't just a physical service. It's all about creating, interpreting, and applying information. So, inside this knowledge economy, you have your white-collar professionals. They're the backbone of it all. But then, at the very, very top, in what's called the Quinary Sector, you find the gold-collar professions. These are the senior executives, the top government officials, the people whose high-level decisions and big ideas can literally steer the course of entire economies. So you've got all these layers, but how do they all work together? I mean, a farmer in Brazil, a factory worker in Vietnam, and a software developer in Ireland don't operate in their own little bubbles. They're all linked up by the crucial networks of transport and trade. Think of it as the circulatory system of our global economy. Look, humans have been trading stuff over long distances for thousands of years. From the ancient Silk Route all the way to today's global trade, which is regulated by organizations like the World Trade Organization. It's a system that has just kept evolving to get faster, bigger, and more connected. And the engine of all this global trade is this incredible transport system. Choosing the right way to move something is a constant balancing act between cost, speed, and what you're actually shipping. Roads are great for local, door-to-door stuff, but if you want to move massive amounts of cargo across an ocean, nothing beats the low cost of a container ship. And when high-value goods need to get somewhere yesterday, air travel is king. And this quote really hits the nail on the head. It's not about one mode of transport being better than another. A truly efficient global economy depends on all of these systems working together seamlessly, each playing its own part to get goods and people exactly where they need to go. So, we've climbed the ladder, from harvesting things from the earth to manipulating data in the cloud. But here's the thing, the climb isn't over. With AI, automation, and ever-increasing global connectivity, everything is speeding up again. And that leaves us with one heck of a question to think about. What's the next rung on the ladder? What will that fifth layer of our economy even look like?